How can parents help their child stay motivated and engaged in treatment? That's a tricky one because, in a strange way, when parents work really hard to motivate their child, like encouraging them with words and, giving them all kinds of explanations, sometimes it works, but sometimes it might overwhelm the child. So, the old saying goes, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. And I add to that, unless you make the horse thirsty. So what you really got to step back and think about is what makes the horse thirsty. And simply talking and using talking to encourage children, like I said, can sometimes backfire because they can get overstimulated, or again, that feeling brain gets overwhelmed and shuts down that thinking brain. So sometimes it's good to actually step back and do the thing that seems counterintuitive, and rather than push, to give the child some time and some space to think about things and let their feeling brain calm down, and then maybe their thinking brain will have more time to consider everything that's been said. Some children feel that they're being pushed too hard, and then they actually sort of like dig their heels in because they're afraid and they feel like they have to be on defensive to guard against being pushed into do things they're not ready for. And again, that time and that space is important. Now, obviously, when a child is not motivated, it creates a greater sense of urgency for parents, like, oh, they're not motivated, so we got to hurry up and do this. But that hurry and that urgency can actually backfire. So I'd say the first step is to really take a step back. And then, if you have a therapist, use your therapist's guidance to think about a plan that's proactive about how to make your child motivated. And again, think about incentives. What is important to the child? Why would the child want to do this? Because you see, exposure treatment is inherently counterintuitive. It's the last thing someone with OCD wants to do because it's scary. They want help escaping their fears. So what would make them want to face their fears? And so they have to be helped to think about the bigger picture. What are they missing out on in their life that they enjoy? So putting some of those things in front of a child can be helpful, like, gosh, you really love playing soccer. And it's such a shame that because of the OCD, you had to withdraw from soccer, or you can't, do sleepovers anymore, or, all these things you love to do are so difficult. So helping them see what they're missing out on can be an incentive, and then setting up actual reward systems where they can earn points or tickets towards, achieving those things. Like, let's say a child really wants to go visit some theme park. That can be an incentive. But generally, it's important not to say, okay, if you do these 3 exposures, we'll go to the theme park. Instead, to have what's called a token economy, or a point system, where when you make 50 points, then we'll go to the theme park. That allows them to have successes and failures along the way. So maybe it's not an all or nothing thing. Like, you can take 1 week to make 50 points, or you can make your 50 points in 3 days. But somewhere along the way, you may not be successful, and that's okay because you still have more chances to make those 50 points. So incentives can be helpful. Also, parents need to start thinking about how they are accommodating or enabling their child's OCD, because that can be a disincentive. Because when a family is enabling or accommodating, it removes the need for the child to really want to do the things because everyone else is, helping them out with it. But again, working with a therapist is important. You never want to stop enabling or accommodating abruptly or suddenly or completely. It has to be something that's planned, proactive, talked about, and discussed with the child with OCD. They need to know why it's important and how it'll help them, and then in a planned and systematic way to withdraw the enabling. For instance, I'm not going to be able to wash the towels every day because that's taking too much of my time and I have to go to work, but we need to, I'm going to wash them every other day, and then cut it down to like once a week. And that way the child has to learn to deal with dirty towels in order to face their fears. And they can get rewards again and points for every time they do a good job or they're brave. I also focus a lot on the concept of bravery, that this is about being very brave, and that's what you're learning how to do. And we are only brave when we're afraid. You can't be brave, you don't have courage unless you're afraid. So I think promoting a sense of bravery gives a child a sense of self-efficacy, that they are, taking charge of something that's been frightening for them.